Rewind 2005, you are competing against each other and against the clock. When the game begins, the category teaser screen appears, and a player is designated to choose the category for the first challenge. The categories are pop culture, places, words and song, movies, events, TV, sports, politics, people, and science. And because this is Rewind 2005, all the questions are connected to the year 2005. If it's your turn, your name will appear here at the top left corner of the screen. Select the category you want by scrolling and selecting using the cursor buttons on your remote. The teaser will hint as to that specific category's subject matter. As soon as you have made your selection, the game is on. All players get to answer the rewind question using their individual remotes, and all players are playing for a maximum of 900 points per question. When you think you know the answer, make your choice from the options provided by pressing A, B, C, or D at the top of your remote. When you enter your answer, a color bar the same as your remote's color will appear here at the bottom of the screen. If you change your mind, you can change your answer by using one of your retakes. Press your new answer choice, and an extension to your color bar will appear on screen. You can do this only once per question. As the question progresses, a series of clues provides you with more information, making your choice easier. But remember, the longer you wait to answer, the fewer points you'll receive. If you answer incorrectly, you will receive no points. When the time is up, the answer is revealed, followed by a scoreboard. At this point, you can proceed to the next challenge by pressing the Next button, or if you'd like to watch the question a second time, you can press the Replay button. All players are provided with 5 retakes at the start of each game. You use these to correct your answer, but also as point getters. They are redeemable at game's end for 300 points each, so the more you have, the more you can cash in. Use them wisely. The player with the lowest total score chooses next, and if their point total exceeds 500 on that question, they receive a bonus retake. Interspersed in each game are bonus features in Rewind, true or false, and news or not. For true or false, you are asked to decide if a fact presented to you is true or if we made it up, and we ask you to bet on it. If you are not sure, bet the minimum 300 points. If you're pretty sure, wager 600. And if you are all but certain, lay down the maximum 900. Be careful, however, if wrong, you are penalized that number of points. After the last player has wagered, indicated by a color-coded triangle, play begins. The game will wait until all players have entered their choice before giving the answer. News or Not asks you to discern which of 3 outrageous headlines actually appeared in a real news story. Again, we ask you to wager 300, 600, or 900 points. The player who combines the best gameplay with the best strategy has the best chance at winning. And that's Rewind 2005. Have fun! In 2005, this late-night talk show host had to go to court to permit him to tell jokes about Michael Jackson. Perfect for late night, during an audition for a role on Mork and Mindy, he was told that he had a face that would scare children. In 2005, he was in the hit kids film Robots, but not his face. He was the voice of a talking fire hydrant in the computer-animated movie. On The Tonight Show's 50th anniversary episode, he announced that he would retire as host in 2009 to be replaced by Conan O'Brien. Leno had been prohibited from taking swipes at Jackson because he was a witness. Prior to the gag order being lifted, he still managed to get Wacko Jacko into his show. I'm not legally allowed to tell Michael Jackson jokes, but I can still write them.
Over 100 local languages are spoken on these islands, with the density of languages per capita being the highest of any nation in the world. James Cook visited these islands in the 18th century and they were quickly colonized. They were formerly known as the New Hebrides. On November 27, 2005, inhabitants had to be evacuated as Mount Monaro spewed ash, threatening a volcanic eruption. The 9th season of Survivor was filmed there, with host Jeff Probst opening the season standing on the lip of an active volcano in mid-eruption. Filming on an active volcano sounded like a good idea at the time, but Probst didn't enjoy the actual experience. One big kaboom went off and rocks went past me, and our safety guy kept saying, "You've got to wear your hard hat. Rocks could fall at any moment."
This rap mogul may have been British GQ's 2005 Man of the Year, but things were a little more difficult for him in the States. In 2004, he was sued for $75 million for allegedly sabotaging his colleagues' lighting during certain concert dates. In January 2005, he tried to countersue, citing R. Kelly's unsafe and unpredictable behavior. It was thrown out of court. In November, R. Kelly struck back with a new lawsuit over a pepper spray incident that occurred during the Best of Both Worlds tour. In December, Jay-Z announced he was blocking the publication of his autobiography, The Black Book, because it revealed too many intimate details about his life. "I know that people really want to know about me," he said to Rolling Stone. "I thought I was okay with it, but as it got closer and closer, I said, what am I doing?"
According to a recent study, the increasing use of email is a major health risk.
Place your bets. Play.
True. A 2005 study by a British heart specialist reveals that at work, instead of walking to colleagues' desks to pass on information, we now send a computer message, resulting in crucial physical activity being lost, making us even more chair-bound.
On meeting her husband, this actress said, "He thought I was aloof, and I thought he was arrogant. It just shows how wrong you can be." Her first major acting role was on stage opposite fellow Aussie Geoffrey Rush in David Mamet's play, Oleana. She accepted the role of Galadriel in The Lord of the Rings because she'd always wanted to appear in a film wearing pointed ears. She had them bronzed. By winning an Oscar for her portrayal of Katharine Hepburn, she became the first actor to win an Academy Award for a portrayal of a previous winner. Winning in 2005 for her work in The Aviator, she thanked her director personally. "Thank you to Martin Scorsese. I hope my son will marry your daughter."
Many conservative bloggers lobbied U.S. radio stations to have a 2005 single released by this band banned from the airwaves. The campaign didn't hurt their popularity, however. Their 2005 North American tour was the most successful U.S. concert tour of all time. They broke the 11-year-old record for total money earned, $162 million in total, with an average ticket price of $133.98. In fact, it was their own record they broke, especially impressive considering the band members' combined age was 245. The Rolling Stones' controversial single, Sweet Neocon, took a swipe at the Bush White House. Said Jagger, "It is certainly very critical of certain policies of the administration, but so what? Lots of people are critical."
Which of these headlines is true?
Google to Wi-Fi outer space. Golf fan's wife changes her name to Tiger Woods. Tom Cruise sparks alien panic.
Place your bets. Let's play.
Blaming the fear of an alien invasion after the recent showing of the Tom Cruise epic War of the Worlds, a mass panic in Siberia erupted after locals mistook a tornado for an attack from space.
Before becoming an actor, he was known for his 360 kickflips, kickflip backside tail slides, and curb-cut launch Japan airs. He dropped out of school to pursue this skateboarding talent. It worked out well. He was one of the first to get a pro model shoe. He left that career for the movies, which also went well. He became a regular in cult hit director Kevin Smith's films. Maybe all that Hollywood success went to his head, because he named his son Pilot Inspector Risegraph Lee. Ex-pro skater Jason Lee's TV series, My Name is Earl, aired in September and was instantly picked up for a full season. For his work, he earned a Screen Actors Guild Award for Best Actor in a Comedy Series.
He won the 2005 NBA MVP trophy by the closest margin in league history. In 2003, he brought controversy to the All-Star game when he wore a t-shirt that read, "No war, shoot for peace." He became only the fourth point guard to win the award after Magic Johnson, Oscar Robertson, and Bob Cousy. The former national basketball coach said of the win, "I think it is one of the greatest achievements in the history of Canadian sports." Nash was also awarded the Lou Marsh Trophy as Canada's most outstanding athlete in 2005. "There's no better feeling, really, than to make your whole country proud," he said.
He got his start as writer and producer of the Dolph Lundgren mega bombs Red Scorpion and Red Scorpion 2. In 2005, he sold his interest in Signatures, the DC restaurant where he peddled $74 steaks and a lot of influence. Tom DeLay, who once called him one of my closest and dearest friends, has denied knowing he helped finance their lavish trips together. Investigators say the millions he bilked from Indian tribes were then used to buy political favors and finance Republican causes. In emails now made public by the Senate Committee on Indian Affairs, Abramoff repeatedly referred to the Native Americans he was supposed to be representing but was swindling for millions as idiots, monkeys, and troglodytes.
European environmental scientists introduced a new green car that will run on pigeon droppings.
Place your bets. Let's play.
False!
However, there were several 2005 reports on new non-oil dependent vehicles, including one that runs on iron filings and another on dead cats.
Harvard's Alan Dershowitz has alleged that he used to goose step and do the Hitler salute in front of Jewish student dormitories while in university. According to former White House counsel John Dean, after Richard Nixon met this man for the first time, the president said he looked like a clown. Sandra Day O'Connor mustn't have thought so. He dated the future Supreme Court judge while both were students at Stanford Law School. He added gold stripes to his judicial robe after being inspired by the costume of the Lord Chancellor in the Gilbert and Sullivan operetta Iolanthe. Rehnquist, who died at the age of 80 in 2005, loved Iolanthe, even quoting it on occasion in his opinions as a caution against judicial pomposity. Describing himself, he used the line, "I did nothing in particular, and I did it very well."
In an X-Files episode, Dr. Chester Banton blames his experimentation with this cosmic mystery for turning his shadow into a killer. Experiments in an underground mine have indicated that neutrinos do not contain enough mass to adequately account for this phenomenon. Although it emits no light or radio waves, we know it's there. Without it, galaxies would fly apart, lacking sufficient gravitational pull to stay together. This enigmatic glue of the cosmos will likely determine whether the universe ends with the Big Rip, the Big Chill, or the Big Bang. In February, a team of British astronomers claimed to have detected the first galaxy composed almost entirely of dark matter. How does one see a starless galaxy 50 million light-years away? The speedy rotation of the swirling cloud indicated that it was 1,000 times more massive than its hydrogen content could account for.
She participated in P. Diddy's Vote or Die campaign in November 2004, but she didn't vote, and she didn't die. She is the grandniece of one of Elizabeth Taylor's ex-husbands, and no stranger to controversy. In 2005, a restaurant chain used her provocative image to sell a burger. They said she fascinates Carl's Jr.'s most loyal customers, young hungry guys, as well as young hungry girls. A busy year for it girl Paris Hilton. She also launched her new perfume, Paris Hilton Sheer.
Paris Hilton Sheer is very sophisticated and sexy and hot, and it smells so good and guys love it, and everyone I know wears it, all my friends and family, and they love it.
In 2005, this country overtook Italy as the world's sixth largest economy. A high-tech giant, this country had more than 110 million internet users in 2005, second only to the United States. Noodles dating back 4,000 years were found in an archaeological site in this country in October. In 2005, Sichuan Wolong Panda Protection and Research Center saw the birth of 16 pandas, including 5 sets of twins. The international internet industry was castigated in 2005 for cooperating with Chinese authorities who demanded strict controls, including software that detects and filters out sensitive words like democracy and Tiananmen massacre.
When this man auditioned for Sun Records, producer Sam Phillips told him, "Go home and sin, then come back with a song I can sell." He must have, because he was part of the $1 Million Quartet, whose impromptu jam was recorded there on December 4th, 1956. A true performer, he was drawn to drama and acted in series like The Deputy, Little House on the Prairie, and Columbo. In 2005, the tables were turned and he became the subject. The Man in Black was played by Joaquin Phoenix in Walk the Line. The film documents Cash's life from his early days as a cotton picker and the tragic death of his brother to his rise to fame, drug addiction, and love life. It also features his famous concert at Folsom Prison.
According to recent studies, the average human being enjoys a total of 16 hours of passion in their entire life.
Place your bets. Play.
True. According to the Life by Numbers study released in 2005, a study which breaks down the time a person spends on activities over the average 78-year lifespan, this 16 hours is the smallest chunk of time of all activities. Compare that to the nearly 5 years we cumulatively spent on housework.
He was married to Exene Cervenka, the singer and lead guitarist for the LA-based punk rock band X. In December of 2002, he spoke out against the war in Iraq, appearing on Charlie Rose in a No Blood for Oil t-shirt. On October 30th, 2004, he tried to muster up last-minute votes for the Democrats by appearing in Ohio with Michael Moore. And in 2005, he was linked to controversy by starring in David Cronenberg's History of Violence and speaking out against Bush. Mortensen said, "I'm not anti-Bush, I'm anti-Bush behavior."
When this talk show host poked fun at a politician's warnings of a national toilet paper shortage, one actually occurred. As a writer for The Red Skelton Show, he got his start in front of the camera, filling in as host when the star was injured in rehearsal. He once said, "If life was fair, Elvis would be alive and all the impersonators would be dead." TV Guide named his bit with the potato chip lady as the funniest moment in television history. Shortly before his death in 2005, it was revealed that Carson was writing jokes for David Letterman. Letterman began his tribute show to his idol by performing an entire monologue of Carson's most recent jokes.
Which of these headlines is true?
U.S. Army working on Star Trek transporter for troops. After X-ray, man surprised to find bullet in brain. Ozzy Osbourne's celebrity cookbook includes Dove recipe.
Place your bets. Let's play.
What the transporter theoretically did on the Enterprise, quantum entanglement and teleportation, was demonstrated in the lab in 2005, but only with subatomic particles and individual atoms. To transport troops, a real transporter would likely have to kill the original person in order to send a copy.
In 2005, this series featured guest starring appearances from Candice Bergen, Lorraine Bracco, and Richard Gere's wife, Carrie Lowell. In Jerry Orbach's last TV performance, filmed just before he died, he concluded the episode with the line, "They got him." For her guest appearance on this show, Angela Lansbury received her 18th Emmy nomination without ever having won one. Its emphasis on strong female characters like the ADA, played by Bebe Neuwirth, marked a departure from the early male-dominated seasons of the original Law & Order. The cancellation of this show after only 2 months finally answered the question, how much Law & Order is too much? In one notable week, NBC aired Law & Orders in 12 of its 25 primetime hours.
This athlete was named Sports Illustrated Magazine's 2005 Sportsman of the Year. He was 2 the first time he saw his chosen sport and cried through most of it because his parents wouldn't buy him a foam #1 finger. George Bush invited him to the State of the Union address, and he's had an audience with the Pope and hosted Saturday Night Live. The 3-time Super Bowl winner and 2-time game MVP remained unbeaten in the postseason for his career through 2005. Tom Brady indicated that after football he may be interested in becoming involved in politics, and his ex-coach at Michigan suggested he might one day be president. Despite Brady being a registered voter, as of 2005 he had yet to vote in any political election.
Reportedly, he once belonged to the right-wing Federalist Society, but he now says he has no recollection of ever being a member. As associate counsel in the Reagan White House, he once investigated a company that was using Nancy Reagan's name to hawk its gloves. He personally advised Jeb Bush on how the Florida legislature could name George W. president during the disputed 2000 election. In September, this former member of Lawyers for Bush Quayle and Lawyers for Bush Cheney was sworn in as the youngest Chief Justice ever. Nominated to fill the shoes of his old boss, the late William Rehnquist, Roberts received more Senate votes supporting his nomination than any other nominee for Chief Justice in American history.
The new ultra-secure biotronic passports issued in 2005 contain the bearer's DNA.
Place your bets. Play.
False!
New biometric passports were released, which contained features like a security chip. But there are no plans to include any body parts. Not yet.
Asked about this man, John McCain said, "Not only would I reappoint him, but if he died, we'd prop him up and put sunglasses on him as in the movie Weekend at Bernie's." In the Ultimate X-Men comic books, he and Arnold Schwarzenegger are named as members of the Hellfire Club, a fictional group of elite villains. He was a longtime ally of novelist Ayn Rand and her objectivist philosophy, which embraced rational self-interest and unrestrained capitalism. In October 2005, President Bush announced that he would be succeeded as chair of the Federal Reserve by Ben Bernanke. So potent were Greenspan's comments on the American economy that the Dow Jones Index immediately dropped 195 points after he mentioned the stock market's irrational exuberance in a 1996 speech.
In the 1800s, an oil made from this animal was marketed for the preservation of the hair or restoring it when bald. On the Colbert Report, these animals were described as soulless killing machines. From time to time, they were number one on his threat down list. Werner Herzog's 2005 documentary on Timothy Treadwell, the man who lived with and was ultimately killed by these creatures, won a Sundance Film Festival award. Interior Secretary Gail Norton announced in 2005 that the 600-strong population in Yellowstone would be taken off the endangered species list for the first time in 30 years. The documentary Grizzly Man focused on the controversial bear whisperer who spent 13 summers living with the bears before he and his girlfriend's partially eaten bodies were found at their campsite. In Treadwell's last letter, he described himself as a fully accepted wild animal and a brother to these bears.
He got his start in showbiz at the bottom, once working as a bodyguard for the Seattle grunge band Soundgarden. He's moved way up since then, marrying movie star Sandra Bullock in 2005. The couple arrived at the ceremony in a red monster truck. He bears the same name as his great-great-grandfather's cousin, who was a legendary American outlaw. As host of Monster Garage, Jesse James has attracted legions of female fans. He was even named one of People magazine's 50 sexiest men in 2002. It's okay, James said at the time, but I'd rather be named Welder of the Year. With homes around the world, including Paris, New York, Monaco, Beirut, and Riyadh, he was one of the world's richest people. Discussing the risk of assassination, he once said, "I believe if my life is finished, it will be finished," then joked that he'd prefer not to die on the job. 4 months after resigning as Prime Minister of Lebanon, his motorcade was shredded by a 2,200-pound bomb planted on a posh Beirut street, killing him and 19 others. Many Lebanese believe that Syria was behind his assassination, and tens of thousands took part in what is now called the Cedar Revolution. His assassination drove this national movement that resulted in the withdrawal of roughly 14,000 Syrian soldiers and intelligence agents, and later in 2005 saw Lebanon's pro-Syrian government disbanded. In January 2005, he announced that he was retiring from writing plays to dedicate himself to political campaigning. Married in 1980 to author and historian Lady Antonia Fraser, the couple created a proper British scandal when they left their respective spouses to be together. Suffering from cancer, the homecoming playwright was too ill to personally accept the 2005 Nobel Prize for Literature, held at Stockholm's Swedish Academy in December. Instead, he delivered a 45-minute pre-recorded lecture entitled Truth, Art, and Politics, in which he raged against the Iraq War and US and UK foreign policy since World War II. Pinter, whose focus over the years gradually shifted away from the theater of the absurd to the theater of political activism, also called for Tony Blair to be tried for war crimes. Not surprisingly, the British government never congratulated Pinter on receiving the Nobel Prize.
Indonesia's former dictator Suharto, ranked in 2005 as the most corrupt world leader in recent world history, is addicted to the television quiz, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Place your bets. Play.
True! Suharto, 84, has lived in seclusion since being ousted from office and watches the broadcast daily. It offers a top prize of 1 billion rupiah, or about $133,000. Suharto allegedly amassed an illegal fortune that is estimated to be between $15 and $35 billion.
In an effort to stem eating disorders, this full-figured actress announced in 2005 she would help young girls with their body image. She learned her craft at the Atlantic Theater Company, founded by William H. Macy and Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright David Mamet. Her certified diver status allowed her to get her start in the TV series Flipper, and later act in the 2005 movie Into the Blue. And in the Fantastic Four, she was cast in perhaps the weirdest role of her career, Sue Storm, aka the Invisible Woman. Alba wants to be considered a serious actress, but complains she's only ever offered roles like the motorcycle chick in Leather.
He has been praised for his parenting skills in raising his children Fifi, Peaches, Pixie, and his adopted daughter Tiger Lily. In the movie version of Pink Floyd's The Wall, he sang the classic Vera Lynn song, The Little Boy That Santa Claus Forgot. His biggest personal hit was about a girl who, during a murder spree, told a reporter, "I don't like Mondays, this livens up the day." He was the driving force behind Band-Aid, Live Aid, and 2005's Live 8, which urged world leaders to forgive African debt. Many did. Geldof learned a lot from spending so much time with politicians. You can't trust politicians. It doesn't matter who makes a political speech, it's all lies, and it applies to any rock star who wants to make a political speech as well.
Which of these headlines is true?
Goose gets revenge against Swedish hunter. Homeland Security grant goes to keeping terrorists out of bowling alley. Hurricane naming policy changed to sound scarier.
Place your bets. Let's play.
A Swedish hunter spent 2 days in bed after being knocked unconscious by a Canada goose that landed on his head moments after his son shot it. It wanted to extract its revenge, I assume, Ulf Ilbach said.
In 2005, this historical drama was deemed too full of violence, sex, and racy language to be screened in Italy, where most of it was filmed. Its 5-acre outdoor set was the largest standing set in the world to date and was meticulously researched for authentic colors of temples, streets, and graffiti. The British cast used their regional accents to enhance the sense of social classes, but this was toned down for the less attuned American ear. 55 local extras were cast as Roman legionaries and sent to a 2-week boot camp to live in tents and train as Roman soldiers. Only 43 completed it. Nominated for 2 Golden Globes in 2005, this HBO-BBC co-production was the first English-language series to be shot entirely in non-English-speaking countries.
Part of this major leaguer's off-season exercise routine is to chase cars from one end of his block to the other, on foot. He admits, however, that the other important part of his pre-spring training ritual is sitting around and drinking beer. After a head-on collision during the 2003 ALCS that knocked him unconscious, he stopped shaving and cutting his hair. But he had to go for a major trim in December of 2005 when he signed with the Yankees, who have a strict personal grooming policy. Before getting clipped for the Yankees and their $52 million contract, Damon's exercise routine caused some problems in his neighborhood. I scared some of the people seeing a caveman racing after cars.
He was named by Time magazine as one of the Globe's 100 most influential people in 2005. Mohammed Daoud Uday, who is believed to have planned the 1972 Munich massacre, said this man was responsible for funding the operation. In December, he had a private audience with Pope Benedict XVI, inviting him to visit Jerusalem, the disputed holy city in his nation's conflict with Israel. His two White House meetings with the president in 2005 ended a 5-year estrangement between the Bush administration and the Palestinian leadership. Mahmoud Abbas was elected president of the Palestinian National Authority in January, following the death of Yasser Arafat. He said in 2005, "The little jihad is over, and now we have the bigger jihad. The bigger battle is achieving security and economic growth."
The Simpsons debuted in the Middle East in 2005 with Homer and Bart renamed Omar and Butter.
Place your bets. Play.
Rebranded the Shamsoons, several changes were made to make the show more acceptable to Muslims. Scenes of Omar drinking Duff beer and eating pork were cut.
He inspired the character of Lieberman in Ira Levin's The Boys from Brazil about an attempt to create an army of Adolf Hitler clones. His capture of the Gestapo officer who had arrested Anne Frank helped discredit claims that the diary of Anne Frank was a forgery. Former Mossad chief Yasser Harel wrote in an unpublished manuscript that he had no role whatsoever in Adolf Eichmann's apprehension. At his funeral in September 2005, Rabbi Marvin Heyer, dean of the center named after this man, said he was the conscience of the Holocaust. Fittingly, the man who caused more than 1,100 Nazi war criminals sleepless nights died in his sleep in Vienna. Having survived 5 Nazi death camps, he devoted his post-World War II life to tracking down Nazi war criminals and fighting anti-Semitism. The temperature on this celestial body reaches 243 degrees at midday and falls to minus 261 degrees during the night. Other than a depletion of volatile elements and iron, it is thought to be of the same composition as the Earth. For this reason, governments are investing billions of dollars into researching its resources that might benefit the Earth. President Bush called for a return to manned missions by 2020, and in 2005, he outlined NASA's ambitious plan. NASA will create a new spacecraft that can take 4 men to the moon. It will facilitate the construction of a lunar outpost, enabling extended stays of up to 6 months, and become a launching pad for exploration beyond our orbit to other worlds. According to the Guinness Book of World Records, she is the most successful female solo artist of all time. While accepting a Q Award in London, Elton John criticized her nomination for Best Live Act. Since when has lip syncing been live? Her 2005 album Confessions on a Dance Floor went to number 1 in nearly 40 countries, a new record, bumping the Beatles' 1 to number 2. Not everything went right for Madonna in 2005. In August, on her 47th birthday, she fell off a horse, breaking her collarbone and hand and cracking 3 ribs, prompting the smart alecky headline, "Don't Cry for Me, Appaloosa."
Before a redesign in 2005, this skyscraper planned to make history by being the first to integrate large-scale wind turbines. In a demonstration of his own wind power, Donald Trump called the original design a pile of junk. Architect Daniel Libeskind opted not to extend its spire beyond a symbolic 1776 feet, so it likely won't be the world's tallest building upon its completion. The highest occupied floor will be 82. That's 28 stories fewer than the World Trade Center buildings that it will replace. In addition to removing the problematic turbines, the design changes included increasing bomb resistance and shifting the spire, originally meant to evoke the Statue of Liberty's torch from a position on the corner of the building to its center. This writer, producer, singer, and Grammy Award winner appeared in the first episode of Sesame Street in October of 1969. He sang backing vocals for a variety of artists, including David Bowie on his 1975 album, Young Americans. In the 70s and 80s, he wrote and sang commercial jingles, including the U.S. Army's famous Be All You Can Be. According to urban legend, he invented the Luther Burger, a bacon cheeseburger that uses a glazed donut instead of a bun. Plagued by diabetes and hypertension, Luther Vandross suffered a stroke in 2003. In his last public appearance, he said, "Whenever I say goodbye, it's never for long because I believe in the power of love." He died on July 1st, 2005.
After abdominal surgery, British comedian John Cleese sold a portion of his colon on his website.
Place your bets. Play.
False! Cleese did undergo an operation to relieve his diverticulitis, and he did write he would be offering the portion of his intestine for sale, but he was joking. After abdominal surgery, British comedian John Cleese sold a portion of his colon on his website. False! Cleese did undergo an operation to relieve his diverticulitis, and he did write he would be offering the portion of his intestine for sale, but he was joking.
In 2005, NASA named one of its new prototype Mars Explorer robots after a character from this movie. The film's producer, Aardman Animations, got its start in the music video business, making the Spice Girls Viva Forever. The studio where it was filmed in stop-motion claymation was destroyed by fire in October of 2005, a week before the film's release. It tells the tale of a resourceful dog and a cheese-loving inventor, whose favorite books include Fromage to Eternity and Graded Expectations. After the film's 2005 release, the company that produces Stinking Bishop cheese, one of Wallace's favorites, had its demand increased by 500%.
Guard Jesse Dawson described him as a bad man, but also a broken man. Dawson also witnessed his spermophobia, the fear of germs, which resulted in him cleaning his food trays and cutlery with baby wipes. When the jail supply of Cheesies ran out, this prisoner discovered a fondness for Doritos, which he would first sprinkle with water. It was also revealed in the June issue of GQ that the former dictator hates Fruit Loops and has a special fondness for Ronald Reagan. At his trial, which began in 2005, Saddam Hussein protested that he had no fresh clothes and had been deprived of shower and exercise facilities, complaining, "This is terrorism."
Which of these headlines is true?
Survey indicates Canadians are sexiest. Decrease in alcohol abuse linked to fewer UFO sightings. Short hair proven to improve brain function.
Place your bets. Play.
Well, proven in North Korea anyway. North Korea's Communist Party, based on a scientific study on the way the brain works, announced in 2005 that, henceforth, all men would be expected to wear their hair short to improve brain function. Hair must be kept no longer than 2 inches, except in the case of a bald man's comb-over, or if you happen to be North Korea's leader.
Shortly after a gruesome interrogation scene in which a main character's toe is cut off, he says, "Toes are overrated." Despite some critics' complaints of outlandish plot twists and holes in the plot, the show received a Golden Globe nomination for Best Drama Series in 2005. Actor Stacy Keach based his portrayal of Warden Pope on the warden he knew during his own prison time in England. Shot on location at Joliet Prison in Illinois, many scenes were filmed in the actual cell that housed serial killer John Wayne Gacy, the Killer Clown. Fans of Prison Break were annoyed at the network's decision to suspend the show for several months, just as the prisoners were about to make their escape. Fox needed to clear the schedule to make room for their other hit nail-biter, 24.
In 2005, this racing series polled fans to see what changes they wanted, but the website collapsed under the sheer weight of users. This series is considered the pinnacle of motorsports, with a seat in one of these cars the peak of any driver's racing career. Run by Bernie Ecclestone, one of the richest men in the world, He recently sold his house for $128 million, making it the most expensive house ever sold. It is the most international of all the series, with races held in both North and South America, Europe, Asia, and the Far East. In contrast with NASCAR, recently F1 has seen a drop in its popularity, and this sure didn't help. In 2005, due to safety concerns over some tires, only 6 cars raced in the United States Grand Prix at Indianapolis, resulting in the entire event being considered a farce. One of his youthful pranks involved printing fake flyers that promised free beer, free food, and girls at a political rival's rally. In the 2000 GOP primaries, it was thought he instigated the Whisper campaign against John McCain, which included rumors the former POW was mentally unstable. In July, several family-oriented newspapers pulled Doonesbury when the comic strip showed the president calling him into his office by yelling, "Hey, Turd Blossom!" In a storyline that involved the leaking of a CIA agent's name, cartoonist Trudeau was censored for using W's own pet name for his chief political strategist. George Bush's nicknames for Rove also include the Boy Genius and the Architect, but the one that stuck, Turd Blossom, is derived from the Texan term for a flower which grows from a pile of cow dung.
In 2005, the United Arab Emirates introduced robot jockeys for their camel races.
Place your bets. Play.
True! Due to an ongoing international outcry, radio-controlled camel jockey robots about 2 feet high, with a right hand to bear the whip and a left hand to pull the reins, replaced the slave children that had been used for generations.
In 1983, Life magazine said he looked eerily like a police composite made up of the features of the more famous anchors. He was accused of a liberal bias when he said the '94 GOP congressional win was the result of a voter temper tantrum. The accusation that he was off-key, however, had come earlier, after he sang the theme song during the first televised Miss Canada pageant. Announcing he had lung cancer in April 2005, he informed viewers he would continue to broadcast the ABC Nightly News. But Jennings was too ill to return to the news desk and died on August 7th. A dual citizen of Canada and the United States, half of his ashes were sent to his home on Long Island and the other half to the Gatineau Hills, located just outside of Ottawa.
This privately owned software company has its headquarters in the West Indies. It is based on the fast-track P2P file sharing system. Although 90% of its downloads are illegal, evidence suggests this hasn't significantly affected sales of copyrighted material. The Recording Industry Association of America and the motion picture industry didn't buy that argument. And in June of 2005, neither did the Supreme Court. They ruled the site was illegal, and it shut down on November 7th. Grokster left a simple note on their homepage. There are legal services for downloading music and movies. This service is not one of them.
This politician and writer is allergic to dust, mold, pollen, cat's beef, and dairy products. He appeared in a special documentary episode of The West Wing, which blended fact and fiction. But there was nothing fictitious about his appearance at the Fox Super Bowl 39 pregame show with a former rival. 13 days later, he and George H.W. Bush toured tsunami-devastated regions, raising money for relief. Clinton did this despite health problems, which led to the removal of scar tissue and fluid from his lung in March 2005. Ever resilient, he still managed to win 2 Grammys and the Audio Book of the Year award. Superstitious fans think the home team's poor record is a result of a cemetery being destroyed in order to build this facility. The largest fixed dome structure in the world, it has hosted Super Bowls, Final Fours, and the 1988 Republican National Convention. In August 2005, studies were being conducted to see if its roof could withstand winds with speeds of up to 200 miles an hour. But they had to be abandoned when Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans and it became a shelter of last resort. The wind and water proved too much for the Superdome, as did the damage and waste from the thousands of people seeking temporary shelter there. It was shut down indefinitely in 2005 after being classified a probable biohazard.
In 2005, she sang with the Foo Fighters, covered Johnny Cash and Neil Young, and won a Grammy with the late Ray Charles. After beating out Bruce Springsteen for the Best Album Grammy in 2003, she said, "I can't take the prize from him. He's the boss." Her sister Anoushka is a star in her own right. At the Concert for George tribute to George Harrison, she conducted the orchestra. Their father is legendary sitar master Ravi Shankar, the man who taught George Harrison to play the instrument. After a lengthy estrangement from her dad, they did get together to protest the making of a Bollywood movie about a famous sitar composer and his long-lost daughter. In the finale of the film, the daughter sweeps the Grammys and they reunite.
In 2005, to celebrate his 64th birthday, Paul McCartney changed the lyrics of the Beatles classic When I'm 64 to Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 84?
Place your bets. Let's play.
False!
Though he said he was thinking about making that change when he passed that milestone, Sir Paul only turned 63 in 2005.
Throughout much of his career, this provocative film director's mother worked on set as the caterer, while his father helped in wardrobe. He has been heavily involved with music. For the small screen, he directed the video for Michael Jackson's 1987 hit, Bad. And on the big screen, he edited Woodstock and directed documentaries about the band and Bob Dylan. No Direction Home came out in 2005, a year which also garnered him acclaim for his Howard Hughes biopic, The Aviator. It earned Scorsese his 5th Oscar nomination for Best Director, but he lost to Clint Eastwood. This tied him with legendary directors Alfred Hitchcock and Robert Altman for the most nominations in this category without a win.
This place was captured by Alexander the Great in 332 BC. He killed all of the men and sold the women and children into slavery. It was also both the title and subject of the 109th episode of The West Wing. In 2005, the Israeli cabinet formally declared an end to Israeli military rule there after 38 years of control. The Israeli military clashed with many Israeli protesters during the Strip's eviction. Many cried, "Jews don't evict Jews." When Israel's withdrawal from Gaza was first announced, President Mahmoud Abbas conveyed the hope of his people. From here, our people begin the march towards establishing an independent Palestinian state with Jerusalem as its capital.
Which of these headlines is true?
Potato Cola, the new taste sensation. Tongue-eating louse found on supermarket snapper. J-Lo's big booty jeans a bust.
Place your bets. Let's play.
A shocked shopper turned in the fish to British expert Dr. Jim Brock, who identified the freaky creature in the fish's mouth as a type of parasitic crustacean. It is believed to be the only animal known to eat and replace the organ of its host. I have not seen this in all my 13 years at the museum, so it's a remarkable find.
In an interview with Oprah Winfrey, this desperate housewife confessed that she had once dreamed of being a backup singer. On one of Oprah's wildest dream segments in 2005, her dream came true when she got to sing backup to her idol, Tina Turner. She and husband William H. Macy both received Emmy nominations in 2005. Only one of them won, and it wasn't him. Her Emmy nod as Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series edged out fellow housewives Marcia Cross and Terry Hatcher. She wrapped up 2005 with 2 Golden Globe nominations.
At one point during his football career, this coach considered leaving the game to work full-time for a prison ministry crusade. As a player, he was part of the steel curtain defense for the Pittsburgh Steelers and helped defeat the Dallas Cowboys in Super Bowl 13. He became only the 4th black head coach in the history of the NFL when he was hired by Tampa Bay in 1995. 2005, he had a perfect season going until the 14th game, when San Diego defeated his team, the Indianapolis Colts, at home. Just prior to the final regular season game, the suicide of Tony Dungy's son in late 2005 shocked the football world. In his eulogy, he said he regretted not hugging his son goodbye the last time he saw him. Hustlers Larry Flint alleged that this man and his wife used to frequent Plato's Hideaway, the notorious New York swingers club. During congressional hearings, an ex-colleague described the former Undersecretary of State as an 800-pound gorilla and a serial abuser. Rumors circulated that he had often undermined his boss, Colin Powell. In turn, Powell quietly undermined his nomination. He was given a special recess appointment as U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations following calculated delays by the Senate on his confirmation vote. Many opposed Bolton's nomination when allegations surfaced that he was a bully and too tactless for the job. One of his more infamous claims was that if the UN Secretary building in New York lost 10 floors, it wouldn't make a bit of difference.
Kanye West topped the 2005 Teen People list of the most egotistical celebrity.
Place your bets. Play.
False! The winner was Paris Hilton. The Simple Life star topped the list for her observation, "By channeling my inner heiress, I created a new opportunity for young heiresses."
This man once said, "In California, you lose a point off your IQ every year." No great loss for him. He scored 215 as a child. An author and a sometime actor, he appeared as Lionel Twain in Neil Simon's film comedy, Murder by Death. He frequently alluded to the fact that he had written a great deal of his very good friend's famous novel, To Kill a Mockingbird. Whether true or not, Harper Lee did help him research his international best-selling nonfiction novel, In Cold Blood. Truman Capote was inspired to write it after reading a New York Times article about the murder of a family in rural Kansas. His obsession with the story is the focus of Bennett Miller's 2005 biopic, Capote, starring Philip Seymour Hoffman.
In 2005, these creatures were used as both proof of intelligent design and to refute it as well. Commentator Michael Medved wrote that a 2005 film on them suggested ID and that it passionately affirms traditional norms like monogamy, sacrifice, and child rearing. Due to this, many church groups booked entire cinemas and held post-screening discussions, much as they did with The Passion of the Christ. Scientists critical of the ID assertion wondered, could there be a god that would subject these animals to such a horrendously difficult reproductive cycle? While March of the Penguins does document the lengths that mother and father emperor penguins go to raise their chicks, It was noted in the film that only 15% remain monogamous, and they demonstrate a remarkable nonchalance as predators eat their young.
The buzz surrounding these devices was so big that an entire independent website was dedicated to destroying them. When enough funds were raised, a buyer would go to the store, purchase the item, and then smash it in front of the cashier, all secretly caught on video. In September 2005, some buyers found that smashing the new Nano version was not the only way it could be damaged. Many had been shipped with faulty screens. After a spike in subway crime in 2005, the NYPD warned riders that the conspicuous little white wires were making them targets and suggested using different headphones. Despite all that, and the risk of customer hearing loss, Apple continued to flourish in 2005 with the launch of the Harry Potter iPod and a 5th-generation iPod that can play video.
Prior to this building's construction, its business was conducted in a small basement room of the Capitol building. It is said that documents from that room were used by the British to set fire to the Capitol during the War of 1812. Much of the marble used in the permanent structure was sent from Italy with the personal assistance of Benito Mussolini. On October 3, 2005, John Roberts took the bench here as the court's Chief Justice, having been sworn in days earlier. Luckily for Roberts, his photo op on the steps of the court wasn't a month later. A basketball-sized chunk of the facade over the entrance of the Supreme Court fell off, landing near some visitors waiting to enter the building. No one was hurt.
This band's lead singer once asked to be shot in the head because death is guaranteed to make your last work seem good. At one point during their formation, they considered becoming an NSYNC-inspired boy band called Pectorals. According to Simply Red's lead singer, Mick Hucknall, they might as well have. In 2005, he said this band wouldn't endure the test of time. He said they were another victim of record labels who neglect talent and that their music is for insomniacs. Despite these criticisms and others that suggest the band is too derivative, fans can't get enough of Coldplay. At the 2005 MTV Europe Awards, they won Best Song for Speed of Sound and Best UK and Ireland Act.
Tarantulas are considered a delicacy in Phnom Penh.
Place your bets. Play.
True. Spider eating is considered haute cuisine there, where the meaty hand-sized tarantulas are known as aping, or unofficially the caviar of Cambodia. For about $0.10 per arachnid, you can get a cheap, ample meal of the critters fried up with salt and pepper and a bit of garlic. Yum!
In 2005, he, along with Paris Hilton, sold themselves at an auction to aid the victims of Hurricane Katrina, raising $220,000. Known for his uncontrollable swearing, he agreed to pay $100 to charity every time he launched an expletive on The Ellen DeGeneres Show. He spent much of 2005 playing Sonny Crockett in the movie version of Miami Vice, opposite Jamie Foxx as Tubbs. In January, he made his U.S. primetime TV acting debut as an unruly Irishman on Scrubs.
In September, a video message made by the suspected ringleader Mohammed Sadiq Khan was shown on Al Jazeera TV. 3 homemade bombs were set off with cell phones at 8:52 a.m. Later, more bombs were found in the trunk of the terrorists' rental car. The bombers, who carried ID and returned train tickets, may have been duped into killing themselves, not knowing the explosions would be instantaneous. 57 minutes after the tube explosions, a 4th bomb was detonated aboard a double-decker bus, killing another 13 people. The final death toll in the London bombings was 56, including the 4 bombers. The hypothesis that the men may not have intended suicide was bolstered by a videotape showing one of the bombers arguing with a gas station attendant about being shortchanged just hours before the attack.
Which of these headlines is true?
Married Indian couple, age 12, divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. Art relieves constipation, lowers blood pressure. Ballet lobbies for Olympic spot.
Place your bets.
A Swedish researcher, testing a group of 20 women who regularly gathered together to discuss different works of art, discovered their attitudes became more positive, they became more creative, their blood pressure went in the right direction, and they used fewer laxatives.
This man lost a finger at the invasion of Juno Beach on D-Day in World War II while serving as a captain in the Royal Canadian Artillery. In the 90s, he played the recurring role of Damon Warwick on the CBS soap The Bold and the Beautiful. For his most famous role, he attempted 7 accents before settling on the one for which his character was named. Scotty was the power-obsessed chief engineer of the Starship Enterprise under the command of James T. Kirk. James Doohan passed away on July 20th, 2005, but his dream of going into space didn't die along with him. In accordance with his last wishes, his ashes were designated to be blasted, not beamed up, into outer space. This team joined the NFL in the 1961 league expansion, and since then have won their division 16 times. They became the first team to appear in 4 Super Bowls, but the club also became the first one to lose 4 Super Bowls. Their official mascot is unique in the NFL. He's a human with no fake head. And in 2005, he set the world record for fastest time shaving a beard with an axe. No close shave here. In 2005, 4 players for this team were charged for participating in a bawdy boat party on Lake Minnetonka. The 4 players, including QB Dante Culpepper, pleaded not guilty. However, nothing could save head coach Mike Tice, who many blamed for the team's lack of discipline. He was fired via press release immediately following the team's final game.
This senator's home state named an airport after him, the same airport where he survived a plane crash that killed his first wife. He often wears an Incredible Hulk necktie, especially when he talks about issues that are particularly important to him. He lost to West Virginia Senator Robert Byrd in a competition on The Daily Show to decide who was the cootiest. In December of 2005, the Senate rejected his latest bid to allow oil drilling in Alaska's Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. In 2005, Stevens demanded millions for Alaska's famous Bridge to Nowhere and tried, unsuccessfully, to slip the ANWR drilling into a defense appropriations bill. As the senior senator of the majority party, he is third in line for presidential succession.
IBM introduced a radical new technology in 2005 that dramatically slows down the speed of light.
Place your bets. Play.
True! The photonic silicon waveguide, developed at Harvard and Berkeley, slows down light to 1/300th of its ordinary speed of 186,000 miles per second. They will be used in the next generation of super-fast computers.
In a joint letter to the Nobel Institute, Hillary Clinton and John McCain nominated him for the 2005 Nobel Peace Prize. Amid accusations of corruption and infighting, he sacked his entire government in September. The firings occurred only 8 months after his Orange Revolution, the national protest against electoral fraud that brought him to power. But his victory came at a price. A near-lethal poisoning left the Ukrainian president disfigured and in medical limbo. Doctors in Vienna confirmed that Yushchenko had 1,000 times the normal level of dioxin in his blood. His skin condition, called chloracne, is the most common sign of dioxin poisoning and was also used in diagnosing exposure to Agent Orange.
The Huygens probe, outfitted with a microphone, transmitted the first ever out-of-this-world sounds from this moon. The probe, built by the European Space Agency, spent 7 years riding piggyback on NASA's Cassini spacecraft before separating from its mothership to investigate this object. The largest of Saturn's 15 satellites, its surface has remained a mystery due to its dense atmosphere. It's the only moon in our solar system to have such an impenetrable climate. The data gathered by Huygens revealed an abundance of methane, critical to its thick atmosphere, but there was no indication that living organisms were responsible for the gas. Titan's atmosphere is rich in hydrocarbons, the building blocks of life. Scientists believe that Titan's environment may be similar to that of the Earth's before life began putting oxygen into the atmosphere.